General Nealon probably said it best. The team that makes a few mistakes will win. We did obviously not play to that standard on Saturday. Everybody in the building is disappointed. You can still sense it from the players today, the disappointment and hurt. And a lot of lessons for us to learn, and we better learn them quick. At the same time, those lessons got to carry forward, but we got to watch this one too. We got a really good opponent coming into Neyland this Saturday. It's a football team that's won a bunch of games over the last couple of years, experienced, have playmakers. They're big, strong, physical on the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball too. So be a really good test. I'll open it up.
Rob?
Coach, you mentioned disappointment in the building, players and staff. Do you think a large part of that stems from just knowing how many self-inflicted wounds there were, how many mistakes?
Yeah, you look at offensively, in particular, we total, self-inflicted wounds. That can be penalties, that can be, unforced errors, it can be communication. Our percentage is way too high. It was on Saturday, and it really was the week before too. And so, that's why you move the ball at times, but you don't have very many points. And we got to clean that up. You can't beat yourself.
To the back, Sam, and then Adam.
Is there anything that you can do in practice to help kind of prevent those self-inflicted wounds, especially the penalties, or is it kind of just a reset, refocus, and focus on the discipline?
Well, I do think you can't let one play affect another. That certainly happened during the course of the first half in particular. The communication things just, it can't transpire that way. And, that's us coaches being better, it's players being better, it's better up front. And at the end of the day, we got to find a solution to it. And, I told the players this today too. It's not the big things, and those are big things, don't get me wrong, but it's the subtle details in everything that we're doing. And, everybody can't take their turn of being off. And we got to become a unit that plays 11 together all of the time, defensively too, in particular in the first half. But we're fully capable. We need to take a step forward quickly.
Adam and Ben, just a couple questions on the Gerald Mincy situation. He didn't play on offense the other night. Was that punishment for the citation?
Yeah, we just decided not to play him on the offensive side of the ball.
And why did he play on special teams?
Yeah, we just made that decision.
Will he be available to play on Saturday?
Yeah, we got a long week here. We'll go through the week.
Ben?
Was Dylan Sampson available to play? He did not.
He was. He's been a little bit nicked up, but he was available. Had plans of, having him in the rotation. And I think on both sides of the football, the flow of the game, in particular in the first half, probably we didn't rotate the way we anticipated going into the football game, and probably as much as we needed to too.
And how did you assess the offensive line when you went back and watched the tape?
At the end of the day, just not as consistent as we needed them to be. And that's really the entire offensive unit. I thought the wide receivers took a step in the right direction, from how they had performed the previous weeks. But collectively as a group, just not as consistent as you need to be to go on the road, to play a good team, and be able to move the football and ultimately score points. Like the self-inflicted wounds, that goes into how you're scoring in the red zone too, and it's not a game of unlimited opportunities. You got to maximize them. You can't put yourself in 1st and 20 and try to play ball.
Yeah, defensively on third down, were they doing anything to cause you guys problems with shifts and movements? Was it bad communication? Was it just simple?
You talking about the third and longs?
I just saw my third down.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of third and mediums and third and longs.
They did early. We had him in some third and long situations too. And our games, he was able to get outside of the pocket where we don't keep a contain on it. We don't match things on the back end, give up 2 routes on the sideline. When we're sitting in a hard corner, we should be all over that. So, a little bit of the run fits. Guys are not completely out of their gap, but their eyes are caught in the wrong spot for a split second. They're a step and a half behind, and you give up a vertical seam.
Patrick and Vince?
Coach, when you went back and watched, how did you assess Joe's play, good, bad, otherwise?
There's some real positives, the efficiency, the communication, handling all that. We have to be better. He's got to be better, and the guys up front got to be better too, and some of our skill guys as well.
Let's go to Paige.
You mentioned that not everybody can have their turn to be off. When you look at the first 3 games, is the needle moving on kind of what the biggest issue is, or is it kind of the same few issues every game?
The needle has moved on some of it. Some of it from week 2 to week 3 didn't completely get cleaned up. We got to grow and go. For our football team, I said this, like, everybody sees the big picture stuff. The small details is where this game's got to be won and played, and we have to get better at that.
Josh, how important is it to operate in your offense to be able to escape the pocket and throw off platform and sort of create plays from that quarterback position?
Extended plays are a big part of any offense in today's game because of what you're facing up front, the pressure packages that you're inevitably going to see, the ability to move, make plays with your feet is a part of the game. That can be tucking it and running it. It can also be extending and making plays, outside of the pocket where you're throwing the football down the field.
Here, then West.
Josh, I know you can't replicate crowd noise on the road in the SEC, but in practice throughout the week, what are some things you can do to try to prepare for that?
We've done a lot of things. Need to ramp it up, I guess. And when I say I guess, meaning only intensify it. We got to be able to function better than we did. Part of that is the noise. Part of it's being able to reset from one play to the next. That's the hardest part to replicate during practice.
I guess most of us who aren't football coaches probably look at a quarterback's play as, was this throw accurate, or did a guy hold on to the ball too long or something like that? But as someone who obviously designed the offense.
We look at that too.
Yeah, but in terms of like all the other stuff that y'all do look at, right? In terms of, managing and administering the offense, where is Joe in that part of the game?
He did some really good things the other night. The pick, we can't just throw it up. He'd like to have that one back. Man, we got to be better in protection too in that situation. The decision making, where he's going with the football. I said it before the game. I'll say it after the game too. He was in the right spots. Accuracy, like wide receivers being exact in their routes. All those things got to continue to improve for us to be as efficient as we need to be.
Patrick and Brent. Brent.
Josh, on the short yardage stuff offensively, I know that was a point of emphasis heading into last year. You guys looked good. You had some opportunities in all 3 games of 4th and short. It's not going well at all. What do you look at there? What's kind of happening in 4th and short?
Yeah, some of those scenarios are different as far as what happens. A lot of it, we internally, we have to execute what we're doing. And that's where we're targeting, how we're targeting them, the fundamentals of it. We have to execute better in some of those situations. Some of those things we've practiced those exact looks. And at the end of the day, coaches and players, we got to get to where we need to be. You have to execute on 3rd down. 3rd and short should be a situation where you're picking it up, 90% of the time. And we got to be better in those situations.
Eric, then Austin.
Early in the week, but what does UTSA look like on film and in your studies, and how different are they offensively from one quarterback to the next? They play 2.
Yeah, I haven't studied a ton of them on the offensive side of the football. I have watched them, in recent history. The quarterback that is their starting quarterback is a special player. It's a football team that's won 2 back-to-back conference championships. They've won 10-plus games the last 2 years. They've lost a couple of close ones this year, but they're a really good football team. They play extremely hard. They play with really good fundamentals. They make you beat them. This is a really good football team that's coming in Neyland on Saturday.
It feels like you guys are moving in between the 20s, but quite a bit of yardage, but failing to get into the end zone. What do you think is holding you back? And then once you go back and watch the film, what did you like out of what Ricky Gibson gave you the other night as a freshman?
The efficiency in the red zone, the lack of it, and it's been a huge part of our success since we've gotten here, directly correlates to the self-inflicted wounds that I was talking about. That, like, you can't beat yourself. You're playing a good opponent. Like in a boxing match, they're gonna hit you once in a while. You got to hit back, but you can't just give them free rein. And when you put yourself in those types of situations, man, it's really difficult to overcome. That's true in the open field, but it's really difficult when the field starts restricting. We're capable of being better than we are. We got to get there quickly.
As for Ricky,
Ricky went in the ball game. He's somebody that is continuing to gain trust from our coaching staff. He's athletic. He's done a good job on special teams. Got an opportunity to play some on Saturday night on defense. I said it to him today. We need him to grow quickly.
After the game on Saturday, Drew McCoy said a loss like that can light a fire under the team. Have you seen that urgency since getting back from Gainesville?
And we're just getting going in this week. The first thing is it better hurt and better matter. You could see that from our players yesterday and today. I think I said it earlier. At the same time, all those lessons got to move forward, but you also got to wash this one clean. You know what I mean? When our players come back later today, we got to move on to the next one. That'll be really important for us as a staff and as a program.
Josh, you had talked the first couple of weeks about liking the tackling on the defensive side
Yeah.
of things. Safe to say Saturday was kind of a surprise, and when you went back and watched, what led to the tackling issues?
Yeah, defensively, there were a couple times where we got out of our gap. And when I say out of our gap, not that we're completely missing our gap, just we're behind. And so, a linebacker being a step behind allows that double team to be thicker, them to climb up on the second level, and you create a vertical seam. And when I talk about the game being played in margins, those are the subtle details that I'm talking about that happen on the defense side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. It's not a complete wholesale change. We just have to be more efficient in what we're doing. The tackling issues, in particular in the first half, some poor fundamentals, and a couple times where the effort's not very good.
finish with Adam.
Josh, when you're looking at the communication from sideline to booth, sideline to field, and those sort of things on offense, how do you gauge after the game whether or not that was efficient enough or fast enough? How do you guys as
Man,
coaches do that?
for us, like the efficiency of our tempo, we don't ever put a stopwatch to it. It's just how the bodies are moving, our ability to communicate, get lined up, get our cleats in the ground, identify who we're targeting, and all 11 guys operate in sync. You got to be able to do that. We didn't do it well enough, obviously, on Saturday night.